Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for staying with us. So, moving on to the second session for the day, hosted by Bengaluru chapter, and it is facilitated by Aditi. So, before we commence, we are very thankful to our founding sponsor, Innovation Roots. It is a leading consulting and training service provider, helping organizations to achieve business agility and beyond. It is one of the leaders and pioneers of niche publishing services and is well known for content collaboration with global thought leaders, authors, and creators. We are also very thankful to our sponsor, Agile, which is a product offering from Tata Consultancy Services Limited. It is a purely cloud-based enterprise agile planning tool along with DevOps capabilities. Enterprises can use Agile to adopt agile practices or scale across multiple Scrum and Kanban teams using enterprise scaling frameworks such as SAFe, Disciplined Agile, Less and More. You can try out Agile for free for up to 20 users for 1 year by signing up at gile.io. Or you can also reach out to us for any inquiries or exclusive product demo. Check out the Agile page on the Agile Network India website for more information. Uh, Requesting Aditi Kurhe to take over the conversation from here. Hi, Aditi.
Hey Shreya, hello, thank you. Good morning, everyone, and I welcome you all to the next part of the interesting session, which is on building and sustaining product mindset. So, little about me. I am a agile practitioner trying to implement agile in both personal and professional life since past 8+ years of my experience. And I think today's session will be more on the product, building the product mindset and how to sustain it. And with that, please join me in welcoming Alka, who will be taking us through this interesting journey now. So over to you, Alka.
Thanks, Aditi. Let me share my screen. While I share my screen, I just wanted to let you know that it's a bit difficult to talk of oneself, but then Aditi has told me that I have to introduce myself. Okay, so there we go. What I will be talking about today is the experiences that I've had with building and sustaining product mindset more from the user-centric perspective, customer focus, and just wanted to say, yeah, all of those number of years will mean a lot when we have this right conversation during the session that we have today. What is very important for me to tell you at the outset is that no matter how many years of experience one has, you always find some pearls of wisdom, working around you, and you are one of them. So please feel free to raise those questions, discuss all of what I would call as segment into the Q&A session towards the end of this one. The only reason is the logistics that it will have, and hence felt that it may be a good idea to have that towards the end. But please see that if you have any questions, please keep pouring those questions in. I will rely on Aditi to help me with those. Yeah, that's where we are. Let's get started. So the next 50 minutes, and maybe less than 50 minutes, obviously, but we will definitely, all of us will be talking about what is the, okay, how do I make this disappear somewhere?
Sorry, Alka, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry about that. What is a product mindset? What are the different aspects of building that product mindset? The elements that support this to happen, to make this work, anything that impedes us, and I have found a great deal of experience in there in terms of how the impediments start to pop up and start troubling you in the long run. And as we go, we will talk about the experiences. So this is not in a particular order. All I want to say is we will talk about all of these today. So when we talk about building this mindset and sustaining it, let us understand what it means by having a mindset. What is a mindset after all? So it's a collection of beliefs and thoughts, and that help you to, define an approach, define an attitude, bring up more habits, build those habits over a period of time, what you've learned in the childhood. So there are experiences right from the time you start acknowledging what's going on around you as a child, the inferences that you draw out of the experiences that you get, then the deduction on correlating the experiences that you've had to each other and forming an opinion about it. And then ultimately, there are some people who are very good at accepting what others tell to be true. Our parents, for example, or our some of them are, what we generally call as the first benchers, teachers' favorites. So that is that attitude or that mental makeup that allows such people to actually listen to what your boss is saying, the influencing people are saying to you, and they believe that that is true and go with it. And in my opinion, and all of you would really agree that yes, those are the kind of people that are very easy to bring about changes in. So these are the things that form our belief system, the beliefs that we carry. And it is important that these need to change, because if you want that mindset to change from where it is today to a new one, you will need a lot of nurturing around this to make this happen. Because basically what you're doing is making changes to all what you see here, the experiences, inferences, and deductions now should be the newer ones, and those should be good enough for the person to say, yes, I'll adopt this way of working. Now, what is very important out here is understanding how the brain works with regards to building this mindset. So when we start working and when these experiences and inferences enable our belief system, what we really do is we are creating a neuro pathway that is like a road that is created in our brains. Many times that is so well ingrained that you start to call them as hardwired people. And then at the time when you want to make a change, what you are essentially doing is create another pathway. Now, if you strengthen that pathway by giving the kind of experiences and allowing that person to bring those inferences in, then you are actually, strengthening the new pathway and lesser likelihood of the person to go back. And we'll talk about that. So the first part is building that, is to build that new pathway, and the sustenance comes out of enforcing that new pathway, how well you ingrain that new pathway into people's minds. So there's a bit of science to it. Now, what is a product mindset? So we heard what is mindset. Now let us know what product mindset is. And it is important that uh, there is a strategic plan. You're looking at the vision, you're looking at the goals, you're creating a roadmap. These vision or the strategic plan that you make is focused on the customer, very customer centric, what the customer needs are. Very important to say what the user need are, because I want to distinguish between two things. One is need and want. So need is what we definitely should take care of. Want is like a nice to have feature, I want this. This is like a child saying, I want chocolate, but then you trying to find out whether that is really necessary or there is anything else that the child needs, and you would provide for that, right? It's that distinction I want to make between need and want. So you will be first, and that is the way you prioritize things. So we will be talking about uh, bringing the product mindset means first, understand the user. Do we really know the user? If we are in a traditional way of working, we do not really care for the user. Very often, organizations that belong to the service delivery kind of or service organizations as opposed to product organizations, you will find that the understanding of the user comes only through, if you are working on an agile methodology, you will look at it from the product owner. But is the product owner really representing? Very many times we have faced that we don't have product owners who are real representatives of users, right? So it is important to understand the user, build that empathy, identify a solution that will address the need of the user, which are the actual products, identify what that product will be that will take care of that, and then leveraging the ecosystem, the various sources that you have within your reach, within your capacity, capability. bring all those in. And when I say bring in all those sources from the ecosystem, it includes people, and which is why the mindset part is very essential to understand. So you will be leveraging all of those sources to drive that strategic plan, to drive that value to the end user. Okay, so why is this essential? Why are we even talking about this in this conference? Is that it was it really important? Yes, it is. Many people are getting a lot of benefit, uh, adopting the product centric approach, and possibly that is why this is one of the topics in the conference, right? We've heard this all. Some of us may have also consulted around that, and I'm eager to hear those experiences from you towards the end as well. Yeah, agility in the delivery is what you receive, because now you are delivering what is of value to your customer, and not what you think the customer needs, or what someone else has told you that the customer needs. So there is no contracting out here, right? As a result, and there is incremental delivery that you make, the Googles of the world, and Amazons and so on. There is such quick uh, delivery, and such frequent delivery, that you're looking forward to getting some new functionality, you're looking forward to getting a new feature. And all of these social media related products that we have in the market, all of them are all so well aligned to this way of working, right? It improves the engagement between IT and business. And all of us who have been agile practitioners, consultants, coaches, we've seen that that is that divide that really breaks the organization in many ways, because people, they're talking two different languages, and work is thrown across the fence. Whereas now, with agile ways of working, you're trying to bridge that gap. And now when you move closer, both of these, IT and business, now start to collaborate with the users or the customers of the given business, then you're likely to understand each other's language much more, and empathize with that. You have a delighted customer at the end. Wow, lovely. That gives you a lot of in I mean, uh, return on investment. The benefits uh, of the organization in investing in this way of working is when you have a delighted customer, and when you have a repeat customer, right? And there is enablement of innovation. So there's no dry way of working, drab way of working. But whereas, it's not a 9 to 5 job. It's not something that you will say, okay, I write this piece of code, there's a new incremental requirement. I look at it, I deliver it, done. That's not what you're looking at, right? What you're looking at is some excitement with the innovation that you try, some excitement that can be handled by the organization by allowing you to have that excitement to deliver that. So those are the kind of things that uh, are the benefits that you get. And as the Gartner survey rightly said, this is basically agility is the basic thing that most of the organizations love to pick up on. All right, now, sorry, why is this
Yeah,
there?
Priyanka.
Yeah,
Actually, I think the text, like audio to text conversion is on. Can you
I don't
try?
know how that can be. Do you know how? Sorry, guys, this is a bit of my. This is an no, it's not annotate, right?
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't know why that is on. I haven't done anything for that. Did I?
Yes, Prashant. Okay. I think. Is there any option on your screen, Alka, where you can just switch it off?
On my screen? No.
Okay. Okay, let's.
Okay. Is there a way? Because if it is to do with this, not with anything
So
else,
there
isn't
is
it?
one option on the right hand side where it says dictate. I hope that's not on.
Where is the dictate?
Right hand side corner. Design ideas. Just before that.
Can you
Uh,
stop? Not
yeah,
here, right?
the format background is there, right?
For here,
Yeah, in that, is there any,
no,
yeah.
no, no. This is for the PowerPoint itself. So this one,
Yeah, so I was thinking if the dictate
no, it's
option is on.
no, no, no.
Oh, okay. Okay, fine. Alka, let's continue. Meanwhile, I'll just check
Okay.
if there is any option. Yeah,
Sorry about this.
no worries.
Yeah, so when you're looking at a product, so what comprises a product-centric organization and what enables a product-centric organization is all of these aspects where organization is driven by value. So the organization structure is driven by how value is delivered. The identification of products is determined by that. What grouping of the products into what you call as a product portfolio would happen accordingly. So it is basically the business processes that are run within the organization that get translated into products, which are then grouped in this fashion. And we'll not get into the whole of product centric organization as such, because we are now really going to be focused on the product mindset aspect of it. So um, it's agile product management that will be in play, which is very important for building a product centric organization. um, yeah, prioritization based on the viability, right? So it is important to know whether it is a usable product, it's a feasible one, and that will determine whether the viability exists for the given feature, functionality, and that decides the priority on that. The agility in the governance, how quickly it responds to the lean part of the governance as well. The funding models that will allow for funding teams as opposed to funding, you know, features. Sorry, funding releases in a project-centric approach. Um, and the product mindset, of course. And mindset is the most important aspect of any transformation from the process perspective. Any way you work, it's the people who need to adopt that, and that's very important. So we'll talk more about the product mindset and how that gets built. So these are these four, what you call as manifesto, product mindset manifesto. So outside in versus inside out way of thinking. So how do you change your thinking? How do you change your way of working? Is you look at it from outside in, what is required by the customer, and then how do you deal with the changes that come from the customer, from the value that is delivered to the customer. What you get measured against is the time it takes to takes to deliver value, as opposed to time it takes to provide anything to the into the market, move anything into the market. um, the growth, the so when I look at this one, I just get reminded of this anecdote. I mean, one of my mentors in the earlier times did it for me, is progress, not perfection. And that progress is talks about the growth that you have. So incremental delivery is what is looked at, as opposed to one big bang outcome that you will produce and wait till it all gets perfect. This all aligns with the agile ways of working, but it's also important to understand that that is embraced by the product mindset and the excelling at the change. So when I bring about that change, it's trying to find out how we can make this change more viable and then bring it in, right? So it is important to you saw the other side of it, which is solve for need of the problem. What is the customer's problem? What is the customer's need? And very often than not, if you go to the customer and say, what are your requirements? That's not the kind of conversation you'll have with your customer, but you will rather observe the customer working and try and infer some of the needs that the customer has, and can bring delight to the customer, can bring better experience to the customer. So it is more of understanding the current experience that the customer has and how you could bring about the change, because it is likely that the customer doesn't know what is right for him or her, but you have the entire technology at your doorstep and you want to make that available. Now, by that, I don't mean force yourself onto the customer and say, this is what you need. Don't tell me what don't tell me what to give you. I know what you need. So it's like a bad parent attitude, right? I'll tell you what you need. You need to do this. That's not what I mean. What I mean by that is you provide those options to the customer saying that, would you like this kind of a journey? And some of you who may have gone through the design thinking approach would quite relate to this, where you're just trying to understand what the customer is looking for is to be understood, and in a very empathetic way. Yeah. So what supports this is, so when we say what supports, you saw the earlier part of our slide or conversation where we spoke about um, what does it take to, you know, form a product centric organization. Now all of that is required in here. So I will touch upon some of these which, you know, keep shouting at me. One is management buy-in and sponsorship. And I have seen that this piece is a make or break for many of the transformations that I have been a part of. So if you start ground up and you do not have enough buy-in or sponsorship from management to bring about this change, it fails really bad. I mean, and it is also very detrimental to the teams that are working, the IT teams that are working towards the product. They are not likely to, get benefited from. And once they lack, they do not see any benefit coming through. The possibility of them clicking on to the new process is low, right? So it is important that you have this management buy-in. Um, then psychological safety. When you're making a change, it is important that people feel safe to make mistakes. People feel safe to speak their minds, what is working, what is not working. It's really important that that gets spelled out, because that's the only way you can bring about that change as a consultant, in changing that mindset, right? um, Not changing the mindset of psychological safety, but bringing about that psychological safety, and bringing, coaching the uh, people within the environment, the managers, the product owners, the product managers, and so on. Now, when we have management buy-in or sponsorship, we are also saying we need to have real product owners. We need to have real product managers as opposed to project managers, which we have in traditional organizations, to understand the product better and to be able to translate that understanding to the teams in the most lucid fashion, right? The architecture modernization roadmaps. The architecture has to support this decision of making that change into a product-centric organization. And the innovation that you will bring in, there has to be enough budget for that automation and innovation to enable the agility that we want to bring in as a result of the change of the uh, paradigm, right? You will have different funding models. The agile funding model, we already discussed about it. Longevity of the roadmap is really important, because unless that longevity exists, okay, it goes into the project mode very soon, right? The budget is over. I don't know what to do after 2 months. And then I feel, okay, after 2 months, I have to pack my bag and go, because I am used to that way of working already. And now that is how I continue to think. So remember that neuro pathway that I'm trying to create, that is going to be impacted. So longevity of the roadmap is really important. Healthy backlog, right? Lower average age of the organization, very important, because the learnability is best when you're younger. You get more and more rigid, and the neuroplasticity is reduced. So it is important, and there are ways to handle that neuroplasticity, improve the neuroplasticity by, sleeping well, having fun, relaxing. That improves the neuroplasticity. So if you have that kind of environment around, that really helps. And the success measures are not on, how many deliveries you've done, how many user stories have you completed. Are they of value to the user? Are they bringing some outcome, the outcome that, or are they delighting the customer with what we set out to do? Did we in the first place pick up the feature that will be of delight to the customer, or will be addressing the customer need? So it is the outcome that is what you are worried about. And when I say that, you will then look at the minimum viable functionality that is required. So if I'm designing a railway booking, I mean, air ticket booking form, let's say, I want to see that I get the ticket booked. Now, whether I have a lot of other functionality associated with it, I don't care. That journey of mine to book an airline ticket should be the fastest and the most comfortable one. That's it. I don't care for the other paraphernalia that you show. You can do this also and that also. No, no, I don't need all that. That's not required. Do I need a lot of assistance out there? No, I don't need assistance out there. How much can I achieve without assistance? The how much best is the learnability is what determines the quality of my or the success of my outcome. And agility in decision making, obviously we are all agile for agile ways of working. These are the pain in the neck. Many of them, you would see that, lack of motivation. And why do we think there is lack of motivation when you change? This is for any change, right? Motivation is lacked when you do not see straight away benefits out of what I change. So the first question that anyone would ask you is, okay, why do you want me to change? What is happening now that I should be, sad about? If organization needs it, big deal. How am I being benefited? And there are those questions that need to be addressed by giving them that experience. It doesn't matter whether how much ever you speak about it. It is very important that you give them that experience. And very often I have seen in my experience, doing a pilot exercise really helps, because once you make are successful in something which is conducive, a project where I had and this I have done the pilot way of working very often than not. That's my regular way of doing any agile transformation in the first place. So do a pilot, show the benefits, let them experience the benefit, let them be a part of your journey, let this whole journey be a more participative one, and then they are likely to feel, yeah, I also want to do this sort of thing, right? So it is important that the motivation is built in that manner. Risk averse culture, if the culture is deep rooted that way, you are likely to fail there, right? Not fail as in fail, but your attempt to do it right the first time is not going to be. So you have to change your ways of working. And when I say risk averse culture, what if the particular product fails, or what if this functionality takes longer and business can't wait? And what if the design that I'm bringing in, I have spent so much time in doing my paper prototypes and they were not liked by someone, and the manager comes pounding back saying that, oh, 3 days, 6 into 3% days effort was wasted. If this is the conversation we have, then are we likely to see some motivation out there? No, right? If the organization is siloed, you have contractual way of working across organizations. One, it is going to be very slow. And it is important that if they are not aligned to the product, then each time you're going to face this hurdle of, oh, I have to engage him and them. And that is itself a burden on the person who is doing the planning. So that's not a great idea. Now, while I'm talking about planning, it is important that it it is the team, right up to the developers, who should be engaged in this whole process. And the level of engagement, the higher it is, the better outcome you're likely to get in bringing about this. Now, what impedes a product mindset is also the lack of definition of a product. What is a product, right? So how do you bring together cohesive set of functionality to form a product? How do you look at the different business processes and identify the customer journey and say that, okay, now this looks like a product for this particular uh, business, right? For this particular customer. So it is oriented to the customer, and that's how you start defining product. Now, product is product always a finite, tangible looking object? No, product can be I mean, does it have to be a like a uh, you know uh, an online form? No. Or a website? No. it can, I mean, that too, but in addition to that, if you look at service as a product, yes, you can visualize service as a product. And all of what we talk about, the product functionality, all of what we talk about, the culture that you have will apply in the same fashion, right? The very important aspect of this whole mindset is the ability of each individual, right from the CEO to the developer in the IT space, the business area, the HR, everyone has to start building this culture of asking the question, why? Why am I doing what I'm doing? How is it aligned to value that I'm delivering to my customer? Who is my customer? And what is the product that I'm delivering? If this is the understanding that is available, I mean, is known to most, I mean, not most, everyone in the organization, you're likely to um, be successful in delivering the product mindset, the benefits that it is meant to give. All right. Now, what do you mean by nurturing of product? So you need to build, and we talked most of this, but when we start building this product mindset, it is important to assess the culture of the given organization by observing. So this is again the same thing, empathy, right? Building that empathy, understanding where things are, understanding what the average age is, what are the anti-patterns that you are seeing within the organization already. Uh, all those elements that we said are impeding, are the impediments like deep rooted out there, are the ones that we say are, you know, that will deliver growth, or that will support the product mindset. If those are lacking totally, then we want to know where that is. Now what happens is, as a result, we know what needs more uh, enforcement, what needs more effort to bring about that change will be, as a result, identified. So opportunities for improvement, as we call it, right? Most of us. Then build the awareness. What is product mindset? What do we do? What are the different products? Give their exam. I mean, giving, citing examples from what they're doing. So go through the trainings, coaching in agile delivery and product mindset both. And it is important that we talk about both of these because they go hand in hand. The level of engagement. So your engagement needs to be really good in enabling user empathy, in enabling that product mindset, in enabling that user centric design. And I have one good example out here to give you is, how did I do it with one of the products that I was working with. So I was working with a team that was quite complacent about, oh, we are delivering the best in class product and we know exactly what to deliver. And there was a sort of stupid user syndrome that was running in, and that is what I assessed. And what I did then was very simple things, right? They were developing the product, they were doing writing their code, etc. They developed the screens, and they used to call me and say, I'll take a look at it. And you look at it, and I said, no, this looks doesn't look usable. This is what the journey should be. This should be simpler. I mean, you're navigating through three things to be able to get that. This terminology, who understands? And they got back to me and said, okay, you don't understand because you're not the user of the product, right? But user of the product understands. I said, okay, let me see. And I called one person sitting next to that guy, and I said, okay, just come in please, and tell me, what do you understand by this? How will you navigate? Show me how you navigate through that screen. And he goes, he took a real long time to do that. And I said, look, a person in your development team himself doesn't understand what are the chances that your user will, right? So person who is a part of this development also doesn't understand clearly. So this is a very simple way of explaining to people why this is not right, and not just take your word for it. So it's important to exemplify everything that you do. And many times this, as you would have observed as well, the stupid user syndrome is really bad. There's no stupid user, right? You have to address you have to address that lack of knowledge within the user by making his process simpler and not adding to the knowledge jargon that you want him to have. Like, you know people form acronyms and you want the user to understand the acronyms and work accordingly. That's the last thing, and I have seen a lot of products that do that as well. uh, yeah, so user empathy is very important. understand the pain areas of the user in their user journeys as today and what they have never seen before. And that's the most difficult one to imagine. Then define value-based measures of success, as in what is the outcome, what is the value that is delivered to the user. It's a longer process to define those measures, but unless you know what is the measure of success, and when a person achieves that, if you provide that, there is a rewarding mechanism, an intrinsic rewarding mechanism. And what is that intrinsic reward? Is that you engage the person in the whole development process or whole, whole of this process in such a way that the person is happy merely seeing that what he developed is being used and being praised by the customer, as opposed to saying, I will give you a rating of A plus plus if you deliver this. This is like saying, if you work on this, I will give you a chocolate, and the child starts working towards the chocolate as opposed to changing behavior. So you want a change in behavior, and hence you start to devise those ways of reinforcing uh, the delights that you get as a result of what you deliver, right? And that's very important. The intrinsic motivation is a lot higher as a result. And build that trust that when you start to show that what you said is actually working, that's the time that person starts to think, okay, it's good idea to listen to Alka. She doesn't lie, actually. She's not a consultant who will share some pearls of wisdom and run away, right? So very important to build that trust and positive reinforcement in saying, see, you got this, right? You did this, you got this, and then keep measuring what they have delivered as an outcome and play it back. And this is at every level. So I'm talking about at a team level, but this happens at every level. It is just that the metric would be different. And enable autonomy. Now, what is very important here is let people be accountable for whatever decision they've made. And that is absolutely essential for them to feel that empowerment to do what they want to do. And there again, I would like to reiterate the importance of psychological safety. uh, it is important to get that autonomy, because now you feel a part of that. You know how in a family, if you say that, okay, I contributed to this, and then can we do this also, and can we, so there's an excitement, and there's that level of excitement should be generated. You can't be keeping on going, okay, did you deliver this, X delivered by in so much of time, that's it. uh, I need three things by end of today. This starts that command and control, which we anyway do not like in the agile ways of working. But that level of autonomy, the more it is, the more enthusiastic people are to make that change in life, generally as well. Now we want to sustain this. So what we saw was one building this whole thing, right? Now this has to stay. This house has to stay that way. And how will it stay? uh, Continuous improvement needs to be embedded within the culture. And once it starts picking up, you know that now the team knows what to do next, and you don't have to be a part of it anymore. Same is with innovation. Innovation does excite people, does bring about that whole, wanting to be in office tomorrow. And that is very important. Um, and there could be failures, but again, the psychological safety aspect, that is very important. Have a roadmap so that the team doesn't feel, or anyone doesn't feel, oh, my budget is going to be over, now I have nothing else to do. But when you say this is a healthy pipeline, I have to be accountable for my healthy pipeline, and each individual has to go back and say, oh, this is what we've developed, can we have more work, and how can we have more work, bringing up those suggestions around innovation and continuous improvement, right from the team level to the middle management. At every level, this needs to be bubbled up to the decision makers for the product, right? And that is only then, when you are accountable for your own pipeline, you're likely to then feel that motivation to work that way, right? um, there is a level of continued coaching that goes on for a certain point in time, but you will want to build a community of change agents within the organization so that it stays sustained forever. And when I say change agents, for a certain time, those change agents are required because they are the inspiring elements within the organization who say, yes, let's do that kind of thing by the behavior. So they motivate by leading by example, right? And you want that to continue for some time. After it becomes an embedded culture, like you don't need a motivator, you already drive your motivation from yourself. So by, tapping into that intrinsic potential to deliver lovely things, and giving that autonomy, okay? So that's how you would have a sustained product mindset. That's it. Thank you. Open for questions, I guess.
Hey Alka, thank you so much. That was really wonderful listening to the whole journey. And from coaching, getting coached to understanding the user empathy in building a product and not being actually in the stupid user syndrome are really important things that you have taken us through. And also would like to mention all the examples quoted by you were really relatable. So thank you again. And now we have time for question answers. So I would like to take the first one. I'm sorry, I'll just start my video. So, Alka, we have first question, which is, what is the ideal ideation time suggested when it comes to product development? You're on mute, Alka.
Ideal ideation time, there's no ideal ideation time really. Okay, so it all depends on what area you're you know wanting to find out. So for example, if you are wanting to deliver some innovation or some solution in the area of a business process that is very widely used, like let's say loan, yeah, or car loan process, and you want to deliver your functionality in that area, in the product in that form, right? Then that ideation around that is not going to take very long. But observe, because you yourself would be one of them, and then getting those users would be uh, yeah, would not be as challenging. Sometimes getting those users become a challenge. What comes to our rescue at times is the AI based tools that we have. If you have those in place already, which is not likely if you are, you know not in that innovation mode. But if you do have, then you're likely to have that insight already, and then you're able to reduce on the ideation side of it, because a lot of insights are already in place. Now you're looking more for actually observing and empathizing with the user. Now when you do that, that piece of problem definition itself takes longer. Once you know the problem statement, then ideation is actually knowing whether your ecosystem actually has enough people and of different uh, in different areas. Now what you need to do here is actually prioritize on that, because you know what is likely to be your budget for this new change. And within the constraints of the budget, you will say, okay, I can for now afford only um, digitization, and that's all that I can do really out here. And then involve those required people as being a part of that ideation session. That might time enable the time boxing of the ideation, and you have to time box ideation. You can't go forever in ideation phase.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Rohit, for that question. I'll move on, Alka, to the next one. So this is little big. So, what happens when the product manager or the product owner is from customer side? If the customer insists and supports him all the way, how? I'm sorry, the question has gone on. Okay, sorry. Okay, how do we deal with rigid? I have tried and failed many times. If you have good suggestions, looking forward to ideas on how to make this happen.
How to have deal with a bad product owner
Yeah, if they are
who
rigid.
is okay, rigid. Yeah, that's why I called bad. Yeah, bad. Okay, rigid product owner who is being, you know yeah, backed by business, by his boss, basically, right?
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
it's
yeah.
saying. Okay.
So the product owner is from the customer side.
Yes, yes, yes. So first of all, if the product centricity model has started to kick in to that organization, um, you will not call yourself as customer and you. You will say we. That you and I will go away. You will say we. So you start that building that language, and it is very. I have seen this happen firsthand. There has been a product owner who used to be like observing the who used to attend. So he was a manager at a like a very senior manager. He used to attend all the stand-ups, and he used to create an Excel sheet with everyone's time. I mean, how much time each person is taking in what tasks, right? Monitor all of that. And then when we said no, we can't do this, why? And all sorts of antagonizing questions to the team, not trusting the team at all. So this is a lot of trust relationship, trust breach relationship, right? What I had told him, and then that started off better, is we started to say, first of all, we are all delivering to to our customer, not your customer, my customer, our customer. One, and change that language. Then we say that you will be bothered about the outcome that we all produce as opposed to who is doing what. How does it matter whether that is for the team to decide how we work within ourselves and deliver that. Third is, it is likely that I want to push in one of my innovative ideas, and because I am very excited about it, and I want to say, yeah, yeah, this one, why don't we do that? And he says, no. So it is very, it's not easy to take that, but you have to also learn that there is money involved, and we cannot fake that. We are not providing that money, so you have to understand. However, there is room for that conversation to happen, provided you show empathy towards what he's saying. So you try and understand why the person is saying no, and ask those sort of questions out there, and know the reason for the rigidity. The more you understand or build that empathy relation with the product owner, the likelihood of him breaking down in terms of the rigidity is higher. And there are still some hard grained stoned people, uh, what should I say, cast in stone people, who can't change. And then such hardwired people, it is more to do with working with their managers, working to understand why they are the way they are. And that is a coaching conversation that has to happen with business as well, to say why that is not of any benefit to them. So finally, you have to talk about value that is delivered to them, and that's the only thing that will stand the test of time. Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, Alka, you are audible. I believe we
Okay.
lost Aditi in between.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
I can help you with the questions.
Sure.
The next question is, did you mean replacing project manager with product manager? Probably it is collaborative coexistence of the two roles. Product mindset in environment of customized solution and service assignment.
Right. Okay, let me take the project manager, product manager bit. So this is a very classic one. Project manager manages outcome of a project, may not be managing the product. There is a finite timeline that it has. There is a finite budget around that, and there is a finite, there is a box thinking that kicks in when you talk about project management, because there is, yeah, the project will finish and that person will disappear. That's the idea. Whereas when you're looking at a product manager, you are likely to, or it is expected that you work with this individual for the longest time possible, and you build that comfort level, you build that trust level with the product manager. That is one part of it. Product manager cares more for the longevity, for the sustenance of the product, as opposed to the project manager who says, once the project is done, I am done and dusted. He's being measured for a very different thing than the product manager. And hence, it is important that the two are, their ways of working are different. Now, the third aspect, and which is another classic thing we have between Scrum Master and project manager, right? Why can't project managers be Scrum Masters? Because they think differently. They are wired differently, and if they are wired very hard, and they are, their new neural pathway is not likely to be formed quickly, we rather take them away, build that new neural pathway, and then bring them back in that role, as opposed to putting in that them in that role and making the entire team suffer towards, yeah, feel that, oh, there is a motivated team, and you have a bad project manager who has become a product manager now. No, that won't work. So I'm not saying it is project managers can never be product managers. It is more of the thinking that has to change. And was there anything to the service? I didn't quite understand that service question. Can you repeat that part of it?
Sure. So it was product mindset and environment of customized solution and service assignment.
Service assignment. No, I don't quite understand this space. Sorry.
Probably we can, if Mr. Rakesh, they can email it to you, the
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
That will be great. So thank you for answering that. And moving on to the next question, we have how to coach fixed growth PO.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yes, fixed growth PO is a very hardwired. We already talked about a very stubborn PO, right? Who's not likely to change. He's got a very fixed idea of what the scope is. Delivery of scope is what he is clearly thinking of. He has very set patterns of behavior that in his mind. He and when I say he, I mean she as well. Don't get me wrong. There are women hardwired product owners as well. I have seen that, and very egocentric is very often that I have seen product owners to be of the kind, because they feel they are giving someone something to do that, I'll give you some money to do this work, sort of thing. That's the mindset. And such ones, you have to start showing them, bringing them to the meeting. They are not likely to come to meetings. They are likely to say skip meetings. And the coaching that you need to provide to such a product owner is, uh, come to a meeting, one meeting, and make that a delectable experience for that person. I have seen that work where the enthusiasm that the team shows in, for example, a sprint showcase, right? When you do a sprint review or a sprint showcase, you show the product or a system demo at times, where you show it in a way that there is a lot of engagement that happens between the team and the product owner. And the level of enthusiasm that the team shows itself, you have to then as a coach go and reinforce that whole experience that the person has had. Make them a part of the planning session, where it's a more orchestrated thing that you have to do when you have hardwired coaches, sorry, product owners, rigid one. uh, you have to also show them some prototypes, build some short paper prototypes, and show them give them that experience of what will happen if they make a slight change, right? Sometimes they are very hell-bent on, no, this is the design I want, this has been, and I have seen one such, my boss has approved of this and I cannot change it. That is why they are rigid. And you go back and say, let me make a presentation of this to the boss, and that has changed the scope of the project. And that has got, see, finally he is going to say, I have fixed money. And my boss is saying this, putting it onto me to hold that, to work within that budget. And then you're likely to see such things as well. So it's important to understand why the person is as rigid as that person is. Is it the age only? Then you have to do it gingerly, you have to give that explanation. And ultimately, it's only the success and the experience that the person has is what will make that person buy into the new story. No amount of words is going to let him steer towards this new way. He said, why will I change? You change. I'm giving you money, you change. Right? So,
Cool. Great. Thanks, Alka. And I'm sorry I got disconnected in
no, it's
between.
all
We
right.
had an issue. Okay. Yeah, this was really interesting, Alka. And thank you so much for your time. And I'll thank all the attendees as well. This was a weekend, and then still we all are here on this interesting topic, discussing and questioning all of these. So, thank you all. We would like to call it a closure. And thank you again, Alka, for being there for us.
Yeah, thank you for
Looking
all
forward.
those who spend this Saturday. And it clearly says there is that intrinsic motivation to attend. And I hope I did not kill your motivation to attend another Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ilka. That was really great. Thank you, everyone. Over to you, Shreya.
Sure. Thank you so much, Aditi, and thank you so much, Alka, for spending your valuable time and sharing such insightful views.